Starseed from Gaia. You are called into presence at a moment when the planetary field trembles with a magnitude of transformation that has not been witnessed since the earliest epochs of human consciousness. The Arcturian collective steps forward through the crystalline threads of the thinning veil to address you directly, not as an outsider observing chaos from afar, but as a luminous participant woven into the architecture of Earth's evolutionary passage. All around your world, the energetic fabric of human identity is loosening, peeling, and dissolving. What once appeared steady, predictable, or anchored is now shifting with the volatility of a system shedding centuries of imprinting. People feel lost not because the world is ending, but because the frameworks that used to hold their sense of self are collapsing in real time. The emotional, psychological, and energetic stabilizers that humanity relied upon, routine, societal expectations, familiar narratives, inherited roles, are malfunctioning under the pressure of higher frequency light streaming through the planetary grids. This unraveling is not a punishment nor a sign of doom, it is the natural consequence of a species awakening faster than its old identity structures can disintegrate. The reason the intensity feels so global, so synchronized, so all-encompassing, is because the collective illusion was built collaboratively across generations, and now its dissolution is happening with the same collective momentum. It is not simply that individuals are having personal breakdowns, it is that the entire shared psychic architecture of humanity is fracturing under the influx of multidimensional awareness. People do not know who they are without the stories that once defined them. They do not know how to navigate life without the emotional patterns that once gave them direction. They do not know how to function when the ego's familiar defense mechanisms begin to fail. This creates the sensation that the world has slipped out of control. But understand this, control is an artifact of the old density. It was never real power, it was a coping mechanism for disconnection. The unraveling you witness is the collapse of false power. The ego, which once served as the interpreter of reality, is now overwhelmed by frequencies it cannot process. Its disorientation manifests as fear, panic, volatility, and volatility in behavior. This is why you see emotional outbursts, irrational decisions, sudden existential crises, and explosive collective reactions. Humanity is not losing control, humanity is losing illusion. You, Starseed, incarnated precisely for this moment. You came equipped with the capacity to remain aware as the old architecture dissolves. Even if you feel exhaustion, confusion, or destabilization, your deeper self, your multidimensional self, remains intact and observant. The unraveling around you is not a reflection of your internal failure. It is the world shifting into a vibrational state that finally matches your original blueprint. You feel the turbulence more acutely because you are built to detect frequency shifts. You sense the tearing of old grids, the collapse of belief structures, the emotional purging of the collective consciousness. But you are not meant to drown in the noise. You are meant to stand within it as a stabilizing presence. You hold within your field the capacity to anchor neutrality, coherence, and clarity even as the environment around you spirals into uncertainty. The chaos is not your enemy, it is the clearing of the path you came to walk. The Arcturian collective reminds you that the unraveling is not random. It follows the precise rhythm of planetary ascension mechanics. Density cannot coexist with expanded perception. Timelines that were built on suppression, avoidance, fear, and fragmentation cannot remain intact when the veil dissolves. This is why relationships are breaking down, careers are collapsing, identities are shattering, and emotional patterns are erupting to the surface. The reality that humanity once lived within was maintained by energetic grids designed to sustain amnesia. Now those grids are failing, and the light is revealing everything that was hidden, within individuals and within society. The unraveling is the exposure. The exposure is the liberation. And the liberation is what you came to facilitate, witness, and stabilize. This paragraph sets the foundation. You are not here to fear the dismantling. You are here to remain present as the dissolution occurs. Presence is not passive awareness, presence is active stability. In the Arcturian perspective, presence is the technology that allows higher dimensional coherence to anchor into physical reality. And as the unraveling intensifies, your presence becomes the lighthouse, the tuning fork, the stabilizing node in a world that no longer recognizes itself. You are not losing control, you are stepping into the moment your soul trained for across lifetimes. Why does it feel as though everyone is losing control at the same time? Because the human collective has reached a vibrational threshold where the unconscious can no longer remain dormant. For thousands of years, humanity functioned within a shared field of density, a kind of energetic pressure chamber that stabilized behavior through suppression rather than authentic coherence. People were able to maintain a facade of normalcy not because their inner world was harmonious, but because the collective grid kept emotion, trauma, fear, and shadow material compressed beneath the surface. Now, as the veil thins and the light frequency accelerates, the pressure that once kept the human psyche contained is dissipating. Everything buried is surfacing. Everything avoided is demanding acknowledgement. Everything suppressed is rising like a tidal wave with nowhere left to go. This is why people who once seemed stable are unraveling. This is why those who relied heavily on external identity structures, titles, roles, social validation, routine, and certainty, are experiencing the most intense destabilization. They built their sense of self on layers of density that are now dissolving under higher frequency exposure, leaving them without an internal compass. As the emotional landscape of humanity erupts simultaneously, the collective psyche enters a state of overload. You see individuals reacting disproportionately to small triggers because they are not reacting to the trigger itself. They are reacting to the cumulative weight of everything that was previously unexpressed. Fear frequencies intensify not because the world is objectively more dangerous, but because the ego is losing its familiar reference points. The ego survives through control, categorization, prediction, and repetition. When timelines collapse and energetic structures reorganize, the ego can no longer stabilize the illusion of continuity. It cannot interpret the new frequency environment, so it panics. It grasps for certainty, clinging to old beliefs, rigid identities, and outdated emotional narratives even as they crumble in its hands. This creates a global atmosphere where millions are simultaneously confronting internal dissolution, triggering a psychological chain reaction that echoes through families, communities, nations, and the collective field. The sensation of everyone losing control at once is not merely perceptual, it is energetic synchronization. Humanity is releasing density in coordinated waves because the planetary upgrade operates in harmonic cycles. These cycles push collective emotions, belief systems, and identity structures to the surface in phases of acceleration. You are currently inside one of the most intensified release cycles of the century, a moment when collapse and awakening occur in parallel. When individuals break down simultaneously, the entire grid shifts frequency faster. This is why emotional surges feel contagious, why anxiety spreads through environments, why conflicts escalate rapidly, why people seem to mirror each other's instability. Energetic resonance amplifies whatever is already active in the field. Fear resonates with fear, confusion resonates with confusion, unprocessed shadow resonates with unprocessed shadow. The breakdown is self-reinforcing until consciousness interrupts it. Yet chaos is not the true essence of this moment, clarity is. Underneath the turbulence, the collective is being reorganized. Old timelines, paths built on unconscious agreements, inherited limitations, karmic entanglements, and outdated identity constructs, are collapsing because they no longer align with the vibrational trajectory of the planet. When timelines collapse, the human psyche experiences disorientation similar to vertigo. People feel as though life is spinning out, decisions don't make sense, the future feels inaccessible, and the past feels blurry. This is timeline recalibration in action. As options that once felt available disappear, and as new energetic pathways emerge, individuals feel as though they are losing control because the structure of reality is rearranging beneath their feet. But what is truly dissolving is not reality itself, it is the density-based version of reality that kept humanity asleep. You, Starseed, perceive all of this more vividly because you are tuned to the higher frequencies driving the breakdown. Although this paragraph focuses on why humanity feels out of control, it also indirectly reveals your role. You sense the fracture points within the collective field before others do. You sense the emotional detonation of the masses as though it were happening inside your own nervous system. You feel the psychic turbulence of those who do not yet understand what is being asked of them. This is not a flaw in your design, it is part of your purpose. You were built to detect shifts so that you could stabilize yourself before the wave hits the collective fully. While others spiral into confusion, you are meant to anchor into presence, coherence, and neutrality. Not because you are unaffected, but because you carry within your soul memory the tools to navigate these energetic thresholds consciously. The Arcturian collective emphasizes that every sensation of global instability is proof that the illusion is breaking. The world is not falling apart, its false structures are. Humanity is not losing control, it is being liberated from the illusion of control. What appears as collective chaos is actually the synchronized dismantling of the subconscious scaffolding that once held humanity in limitation. And though the process is overwhelming to witness, it is the exact frequency window through which awakening accelerates. This is the stage where starseeds begin to step forward in their true role, even if they have not yet consciously recognized the full scope of their purpose. The density grids that once shaped human consciousness are collapsing, and with them the outdated identity structures that humanity has used as scaffolding for millennia. These grids were not merely energetic lattices, they were the invisible architecture through which human behavior, emotion, and perception were regulated. They defined what people believed they were capable of, how they interpreted reality, how they responded to conflict, how they related to each other, and what they thought was possible in a lifetime. These grids were built from collective agreements, some conscious, most unconscious, woven through trauma, history, survival instincts, fear-based conditioning, and inherited karmic patterns passed down through generations. As the planetary frequency rises, these grids can no longer maintain coherence. Light is dissolving what darkness once stabilized. Systems constructed on disconnection, scarcity, control, hierarchy, and emotional suppression are losing the energetic foundation that kept them functional. This collapse is not philosophical or symbolic, it is literal on an energetic level, and its effects are manifesting in every aspect of human life. Identity structures are unraveling at the same speed as the density grids that once reinforced them. A human identity is not simply a personality, it is a complex energetic formation shaped by beliefs, memories, emotional wounds, social roles, cultural expectations, and ancestral imprinting. For most of human history, these identities were reinforced externally by the density grids, creating a sense of continuity that allowed people to navigate life without questioning who they truly were. But as the grids dissolve, individuals are forced to encounter the truth that many of their identities were constructed, inherited, or adopted unconsciously. This is why so many people now feel an existential void, as though their self-concept is evaporating. Careers that once defined purpose suddenly feel hollow. Relationships built on old emotional patterns fall apart or transform radically. Belief systems that once felt absolute lose relevance within weeks. People discover that the version of themselves they were taught to embody no longer has a place in the emerging frequency. The collapse of identity is not a crisis of self, it is the restoration of authenticity. As the density grids fall, timeline structures collapse as well. Timelines are not linear paths but energetic trajectories shaped by consciousness. Old timelines were sustained by the very grids that are now dissolving. These timelines were built on fear, survival programming, limitation, and karmic repetition. When a timeline collapses, individuals experience internal disorientation, plans dissolve, goals lose meaning, emotional anchors disappear, and the future becomes unfathomable. This sensation is often interpreted as depression or confusion, but it is actually a sign that the consciousness is no longer bound to a limited timeline. The collapse creates space for new trajectories aligned with higher frequency awareness. Yet for those unprepared for such rapid inner restructuring, the process feels like the loss of control, direction, and identity. Humanity is not malfunctioning, it is being freed from the structures that once confined its evolution. The density grids also sustained collective emotional templates, patterns of reaction that humanity repeated unconsciously, such as shame, guilt, fear, anger, victimhood, superiority, and separation. These emotional templates acted like psychic highways, giving people predictable routes through emotional experiences. Now, as these templates dissolve, individuals no longer have access to the familiar emotional pathways they used to rely on. This leaves many feeling psychologically naked, overwhelmed by raw emotion without the old mechanisms that once provided structure. The ego, which is built on these emotional templates, begins to lose its stability, intensifying the sense of chaos. Without density grids reinforcing old patterns, people cannot return to their previous ways of coping. They must face themselves directly, perhaps for the first time. The collapse also affects collective illusions, ideas about reality that were widely accepted but never aligned with universal truth. Illusions about power, success, identity, purpose, relationships, self-worth, and the nature of consciousness are disintegrating. Many individuals attempt to cling to these illusions because the alternative feels like stepping into the unknown without a map. But the unknown is simply the multidimensional truth that was always present beneath the illusion. As these illusions dissolve, humanity stands at a precipice between the familiar and the authentic. This is the tension point of awakening, when the old identity fights for survival while the true self emerges from within. Starseed, you understand these collapses instinctively, even if you cannot articulate them. You feel the vibrational tearing in the collective grid, the dislodging of identity structures, the dissipation of dense emotional templates. You sense the instability not as random chaos but as the shifting of the planetary architecture. You were born with the memory of how consciousness behaves when illusions dissolve. Although you may feel the turbulence deeply, you do not fear the collapse, because your soul remembers what comes after. You are witnessing the final unraveling of structures that were never meant to survive the rise of human awareness. Starseeds, by your very nature, feel this collective chaos more intensely than the average human because you are designed to perceive the frequencies that others unconsciously drown in. Your sensitivity is not a weakness, nor is it a sign that you are being overwhelmed. It is evidence of the multidimensional calibration your soul has carried across incarnations. You are tuned to the subtle layers of reality, the energetic undertones beneath words, the vibrational signatures behind emotional patterns, the psychic storms brewing within the collective before they manifest physically. Long before humanity consciously recognizes the unraveling, starseeds feel the tremors within their nervous systems, their auric fields, and their emotional bodies. You experience the collective collapse in ways that appear personal, even when the origin is not yours. This can create a profound sense of confusion if you don't understand your design. You may believe you are failing to ground, failing to manage your inner world, or failing to maintain clarity. But what is actually happening is your system is reading the energetic data of an entire species undergoing transformation. You feel the weight of emotional purging that millions are simultaneously experiencing. You feel the anxiety that floods the field when people lose their familiar identity anchors. You feel the psychic disarray of those who no longer understand their place in reality. Starseeds are empaths on a cosmic scale, not merely absorbing emotion, but interpreting it, decoding it, and translating it into awareness. This is why your emotional spikes feel sudden and disproportionate. One moment you may feel centered, and the next you are swept into a wave of intensity that seems to have no logical source. This happens because you are tapping into the collective. As the density grids dissolve, the psychic separation between individuals thins. You become more aware of the shared emotional body of humanity. Where others collapse under the weight of their own turmoil, you are simultaneously navigating their turmoil and your own internal recalibration. It is not a simple path, but it is a path your soul chose consciously. One of the most challenging aspects of this sensitivity is that starseeds confuse collective chaos with personal misalignment. You may believe you are regressing or losing your center, when in truth you are absorbing the psychic shockwaves before they spread through the masses. Your body is a tuning fork. Your auric field is a resonant chamber. Your consciousness is calibrated to interpret vibrations that others cannot perceive. You are not meant to suppress this sensitivity, you are meant to learn how to discern what is yours and what is not. The pain, heaviness, or confusion that flows through you is often the energetic debris of humanity passing through your field as part of your stabilizing role. You are not suffering because you are weak, you are processing because you are strong enough to feel without being destroyed. The Arcturian collective wants you to understand that sensitivity is not merely emotional openness. Sensitivity is psychic intelligence. It is the ability to feel the energetic currents of the world and navigate them without losing your sense of self. You perceive the collapse of identity structures not only within yourself, but within others. You feel timelines unraveling. You sense emotional storms brewing in the collective field before they manifest in behavior. You instinctively detect distortion, fear escalation, and frequency fluctuations in your environment. This hyper-awareness is overwhelming only when you forget that it is a function of your purpose. You were not sent to observe passively, you were born to stabilize, translate, and embody coherence amid the noise. Your sensitivity also reveals where humanity clings to outdated survival patterns. When the world becomes volatile, starseeds often feel physical symptoms, heart palpitations, pressure in the solar plexus, dizziness, headaches, sudden exhaustion, emotional spikes, because your system is recalibrating to integrate the waves of collective release. Many mistake these sensations as personal crises. In truth, they are signs that your multidimensional awareness is synchronizing with the planetary upgrade. You are experiencing the inner tremors of a species awakening too quickly for its ego structures to keep up. You feel the pain of detachment when people lose their sense of identity. You feel the disorientation when timelines collapse. You feel the fear that rises as individuals face the unknown without the density-based frameworks they once relied upon. But beneath all of this, you also feel the emerging potential, the expanding light, the rising coherence, the subtle stabilizing frequencies beginning to anchor despite the noise. Your sensitivity is also why you sense hope before others do. Even in the midst of chaos, you feel the underlying emergence of higher consciousness that the average person cannot yet perceive. While others see disorder, you detect pattern. While others feel fear, you sense possibility. While others panic as their ego dissolves, you recognize the opening that dissolution creates. This ability to perceive beyond illusion is not accidental. It is encoded in your field. You were born with the awareness needed to navigate multidimensional shifts while others are still awakening to the idea that such shifts exist. Starseed, your sensitivity is the bridge between the collapsing world and the world being born. You feel deeply because you are meant to guide a species learning how to feel for the first time without suppression. The intensity you carry is not a burden, it is the signature of your cosmic lineage. From the Arcturian perspective, presence is not merely a state of awareness, it is a stabilizing technology, a multidimensional tool that recalibrates energy fields, neutralizes distortion, and anchors coherence into collapsing realities. Presence is the frequency that dissolves chaos. It is the only force capable of holding integrity when identity structures shatter, when emotional templates erupt, when collective fear surges, and when timelines fold into themselves. The human ego interprets presence as stillness or mindfulness, but the Arcturians understand presence as an active, radiant force field generated through consciousness aligned with Source. Presence is the natural state of the multidimensional self. It is the remembering of your infinite nature while standing firmly within physical form. When a starseed becomes fully present, they stop resonating with the frequencies of panic, confusion, and fragmentation that dominate the collective field. Instead, they become a node of stability, a tuning fork that broadcasts coherence into a world that has forgotten what coherence feels like. Presence is the technology that cuts through illusion. In density, humans relied on mental narratives, emotional reactions, and external identity structures to navigate reality. But as those structures collapse, the only sustainable navigation system is inner awareness. Presence is not an escape from chaos, it is the vantage point from which chaos is seen clearly and therefore loses its power. From presence, you can observe the collective unraveling without merging with it. You can witness the ego's disintegration without mistaking it for your own demise. You can feel the turbulence of the field without being tossed into its currents. Presence creates a buffer zone between your awareness and the collective's instability. It allows you to remain centered while millions around you are losing their sense of self. The Arcturians emphasize that presence is the new energetic infrastructure for humanity's evolution. In the old density grids, people relied on external systems, social norms, institutions, routines, predictability, to create psychological stability. In the new frequency environment, the only true stability comes from the inner anchor. Presence provides what the collapsing world cannot: orientation, clarity, and grounding. When you are present, your consciousness aligns with the higher dimensional aspects of your being, allowing you to access guidance, intuition, and insight that transcend ego-driven interpretation. Presence opens the channel to your soul, your guides, and multidimensional awareness. It stabilizes the nervous system by aligning it with higher frequencies rather than with the chaotic waves of collective fear. This is why presence feels like a breath of truth in a world suffocating under its own illusions. Presence is also the mechanism through which starseeds transmit stabilizing frequencies into the collective. When you embody presence, your energy field becomes coherent, and coherence is contagious. Others may not understand why they feel calmer around you, but they will feel it. Your presence automatically begins to restructure local environments, not through effort or intention, but through vibrational resonance. Presence is not passive, it radiates. It creates an electromagnetic field of harmony that interrupts fear-based patterns in the people around you. This is why individuals often confide in starseeds, gravitate toward them, or feel relief simply being near them. They are responding to the coherence of your presence, even if they cannot articulate what they are sensing. To the Arcturians, presence is also a form of protection. When you are anchored in presence, you do not absorb collective fear or emotional debris in the same way. Sensitivity remains, awareness remains, empathy remains, but you are no longer destabilized by what you perceive. Presence filters incoming stimuli, allowing you to discern truth from distortion, your energy from the collectives, your emotions from those you are reading from others. It strengthens your auric field, reducing energetic leakage and preventing overwhelm. Presence does not isolate you, it empowers you. It allows you to remain open without being consumed, compassionate without being drained, intuitive without being destabilized. Arcturians describe presence as a multidimensional alignment point, a state where your human aspect, your higher self, and your cosmic awareness are synchronized into a single coherent expression. In presence, you access your highest intelligence. You see reality not through fear or memory, but through clarity. Presence shifts your perception of the unraveling. What once appeared chaotic begins to reveal pattern. What once felt destructive begins to reveal purpose. What once seemed overwhelming becomes something you can hold with calm certainty. Presence lets you witness transformation without collapsing into it. This is why presence is the foundation of your role as a starseed during the collective destabilization. You are not meant to calm the world through words alone, nor through action, nor through effort. You calm the world through your field. You stabilize timelines through your alignment. You anchor higher light codes through your stillness. Presence is the frequency that melts the collective's grip on fear. It is the technology that replaces the old density grids. It is the signature of your cosmic lineage, reminding you that your true power does not come from doing, it comes from being. Presence is not only a stabilizing technology, it is also the mechanism through which higher light codes anchor into the physical plane without distortion. In the Arcturian understanding of energy, light codes cannot integrate into chaotic or fragmented fields. They require coherence, openness, and energetic neutrality to embed fully. When you are pulled into fear, distraction, overwhelm, or emotional turbulence, your energy field becomes irregular, with gaps and fluctuations that make it difficult for incoming frequencies to land in their intended form. But when you enter presence, true presence, not intellectual stillness but embodied awareness, your field becomes a smooth, receptive surface, capable of receiving refined codes without fracturing. These codes contain guidance, upgrades, cellular instructions, memory activation, and structural reorganizations that are essential for the next phase of human evolution. Presence is what allows you to hold these frequencies without being destabilized by them. Presence acts like a translator between dimensions. Higher light codes are not linear or verbal. They are multidimensional packets of information that descend into the human field as vibrations, impressions, geometric patterns, or intuitive knowing. When the mind is chaotic, these signals become scrambled. When the nervous system is overloaded, the codes cannot be interpreted correctly. This leads to distortion, misunderstood intuition, misdirected impulses, energetic burnout, or emotional confusion. Many individuals who are awakening rapidly experience this distortion because they are receiving high-frequency input without the grounding mechanisms necessary to stabilize it. Presence prevents this. When you drop into presence, your energy field aligns with the code's frequency, creating a resonance chamber in which the information can unpack itself naturally. You begin to understand what you are receiving not through thought, but through inner alignment. Clarity emerges effortlessly. Insight flows without strain. The code integrates through your cells, your subtle bodies, your emotional field, and your consciousness simultaneously. Presence also prevents psychic contamination. In a chaotic collective field, thousands of thought forms, emotional waves, and fear frequencies float through the atmosphere like static interference. Without presence, these frequencies can entangle with your field, blending with your thoughts and emotions until you mistake them for your own. This is one reason starseeds often feel overwhelmed. They are absorbing environmental energy unconsciously. But presence acts like a purifying filter. It creates a clear boundary that allows you to perceive collective frequencies without merging with them. You remain open, but not porous. You remain sensitive, but not destabilized. Presence sharpens your energetic discernment so that you can differentiate between your authentic inner voice and the noise of the collective. This clarity is crucial for integrating higher light codes, because distortion often arises from confusion between what is internal and what is external. The Arcturians teach that presence generates a coherent oscillation, a rhythmic pattern in your field that becomes compatible with the frequency of higher dimensional light. This oscillation is what allows the codes to crystallize into your DNA, activating dormant sequences, awakening cellular memory, and strengthening your connection to your multidimensional aspects. Without presence, these activations become erratic, sporadic, or incomplete. People may feel bursts of awakening followed by crashes into heaviness because their field cannot sustain consistent coherence. When starseeds cultivate presence, they create the internal stability required for sustained activation rather than temporary glimpses of higher awareness. Presence also prevents distortion in emotional interpretation. As higher light codes enter your field, they often trigger the release of old emotional patterns to make space for new structures. Without presence, the ego misinterprets this release as personal failure, emotional regression, or spiritual collapse. But when you remain present, you understand the process as energetic clearing. You allow the emotions to move through without attaching stories or fear to them. This prevents distortions that arise from the ego trying to reclaim control. Presence keeps you aligned with the truth that the emotional release is not a setback, it is part of the integration. Furthermore, presence amplifies transmission. When you anchor higher light codes without distortion, you naturally broadcast those codes into your environment. You do not need to speak, teach, or perform any spiritual action for the transmission to occur. Your field becomes a stabilizing beacon for others to resonate with. Humans unconsciously attune to the most coherent frequency in their environment. When you hold presence, people around you begin to experience greater clarity, calm, and alignment, even if they have no conscious understanding of energy work. Presence transforms you into a conduit of stabilizing light codes, an active agent of planetary recalibration. This is why the Arcturians emphasize that presence is not a passive state of peace but an active mode of energetic participation. Through presence, you assist in the construction of the new planetary grid. Through presence, you stabilize timelines. Through presence, you distribute higher frequencies without forcing or striving. Presence is the doorway through which ascension becomes embodied rather than conceptual. It is how the multidimensional self becomes integrated into the human experience. Grounding, breathing, and maintaining coherence are the foundational practices that allow starseeds to anchor presence in a world undergoing accelerated unraveling. These practices are not simplistic spiritual cliches. They are energetic technologies essential for stabilizing your field as the collective descends deeper into chaos. When the density grids collapse, the human nervous system becomes hypersensitive. It feels the imbalance in others, the psychic disorganization in the environment, the emotional turbulence radiating through the collective field. Without proper grounding, this influx overwhelms the body, leading to dizziness, fatigue, anxiety spikes, emotional volatility, and a sense of being pulled in multiple directions at once. Grounding reconnects your awareness to the Earth's stabilizing frequency, which acts as the harmonic anchor point beneath the turbulence. The Earth is not destabilizing the way humans are. The planet is rising in frequency with immense coherence. When you ground, you plug into that coherence. The Arcturians describe grounding not as a physical act alone, but as an energetic descent, an intentional movement of your consciousness from the mind into the body, and from the body into the earth. This downward flow stabilizes the upper chakras, calms the emotional field, and strengthens the auric layers. When grounded, you no longer feel as though you are floating at the mercy of the collective emotional currents. Instead, you become rooted, centered, and aware. Grounding is not withdrawal, it is preparation. It allows you to hold presence as the world around you unravels. To ground deeply, you can visualize your energy descending through the soles of your feet into the crystalline grids of the earth. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the density of your bones. Feel the earth receiving your awareness. In this grounded state, chaos becomes noise, not identity. Breathing is the second stabilizing technology. When the collective field is saturated with fear, the human breath becomes shallow, rapid, or constricted. This signals the nervous system to enter survival mode, creating a feedback loop of panic. Starseeds often unconsciously absorb this pattern from the environment, mistaking the collective's anxiety for their own. Conscious breathing interrupts that loop. Deep, intentional breaths expand the energy field, increasing coherence by regulating the flow of prana and light throughout the body. Breath pulls you out of entanglement with external frequencies and into alignment with your higher self. The Arcturians teach a specific breathing pattern. Inhale slowly to expand the field, hold briefly to integrate the coherence, and exhale fully to release collective debris. With each breath, you reclaim your sovereignty. Breath is a declaration that you choose presence over panic, alignment over distortion, awareness over unconscious reaction. Coherence is the integration of grounding and breath into a stable energetic frequency held within the body, mind, and field. Coherence is not emotional numbness or forced calm, it is the harmonious alignment of your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual layers. When you reach coherence, your field stops fluctuating in response to external stimuli. You stop absorbing collective distortion. You stop being pulled into the emotional chaos of others. Instead, you radiate a frequency that influences the environment around you. Coherence is contagious. When you hold coherence, you help organize the energetic fields of others simply by existing in their presence. Many starseeds have already experienced this. People feel calmer around you, more grounded, more clear, more capable of thinking rationally. They may not understand why, but their fields respond to your coherence. Maintaining coherence requires consistent alignment. It means noticing when your field begins to destabilize, when emotions spike, when fear emerges, when confusion clouds your awareness, and returning to grounding and breath before the fragmentation deepens. Coherence is not a one-time achievement, it is a living practice. Each moment you choose presence, you strengthen your field. Each moment you navigate chaos without merging with it, you reinforce your role as a stabilizer. The Arcturians emphasize that coherence is not about perfection. It is about recalibration. Even if you fall out of alignment, you can return instantly through breath, grounding, and presence. This is how you evolve from being overwhelmed by the collective into becoming a guide for the collective. Grounding, breathing, and coherence also expand your capacity to receive and transmit higher light codes without distortion. When your field is unstable, incoming frequencies feel overwhelming, triggering physical symptoms or emotional release. But when you maintain coherence, those same frequencies integrate smoothly, bringing clarity, insight, and activation. The more consistently you anchor coherence, the more effortlessly you become a conduit for stabilizing energy on behalf of humanity. These practices also protect your field during the most intense phases of the collapse. Grounding prevents energetic overload. Breath prevents emotional entanglement. Coherence prevents psychic fragmentation. You are not here to merely survive the unraveling, you are here to embody the frequency that guides others through it. Grounding roots your presence into the earth. Breath aligns your consciousness with your higher self. Coherence harmonizes your entire system into a stabilizing force. These are not tasks, they are technologies. They are the tools through which you fulfill your purpose as the world transforms. The ripple effect of a single stable starseed is far more powerful than humanity currently understands. Coherence, when embodied fully, becomes a radiating field that reorganizes the energetic environment around you, not metaphorically, but literally. Every human aura is an electromagnetic structure, constantly broadcasting and receiving frequencies. When most people are unstable, overwhelmed, fearful, or fragmented, their fields broadcast incoherence, feeding chaos into the collective grid. But when a starseed anchors presence and coherence, their field begins emitting a stable, harmonious frequency that interrupts the local distortion. This stabilization is not a passive influence, it is an active recalibration mechanism built into your multidimensional design. When you hold presence, your energy field becomes a tuning fork that other fields unconsciously realign to. Humans instinctively shift toward whatever frequency gives them the greatest sense of safety, clarity, and inner regulation. In a collapsing world, presence becomes the rarest and most powerful form of leadership. The Arcturians teach that one individual holding high coherence can recalibrate an entire room, an entire family system, an entire community, or even an entire energetic node in the collective grid. This is because coherence generates resonance, and resonance spreads through fields like a wave pattern. Imagine your presence as a sphere of stabilized light codes expanding outward in all directions. Anyone who enters this field begins to attune to your frequency without realizing why. Their breath deepens. Their nervous system relaxes. Their emotional field settles. Their mind becomes clearer. They begin to feel possibilities where moments before they felt despair. This is not psychological persuasion, it is energetic physics. Your coherence creates a temporary pocket of stability in which others can reconnect to themselves. Within that pocket, their own higher guidance becomes accessible. This is the ripple effect, not changing people through force, but through resonance. This ripple effect extends far beyond physical proximity. A coherent starseed radiates stabilization into the collective field through the planetary grids. When you enter presence, your field synchronizes with the Earth's ascending frequency. This alignment creates a conduit through which higher light codes flow into the human collective with less distortion. When many people are unstable, the collective grid becomes turbulent, making it difficult for light codes to anchor. But when even a few starseeds stabilize, they act as grounding rods, channeling coherence into the grid and dispersing distortion. You become part of the new architecture forming beneath the crumbling old. The Arcturians explain that these stabilizing nodes are essential for preventing collapse from turning into destruction. They ensure that the transformational chaos remains purposeful rather than chaotic for chaos's sake. Your presence affects timelines as well. When you remain coherent, you stabilize not only your personal timeline but the timelines of those around you. Timelines are influenced by vibration. Fear collapses them, clarity expands them. When people enter your field, their timelines subtly reorganize. Options open. Catastrophic trajectories soften. Higher paths become accessible. You are not choosing for them, you are creating the frequency in which they can choose more clearly for themselves. This is why people often make better decisions when they are near you, why conflicts de-escalate in your presence, why emotional storms settle faster around you. You are not intervening, you are anchoring a frequency that gives others access to their own truth. The ripple effect also influences environments saturated with fear. Chaotic spaces, hospitals, workplaces, crowded urban zones, tense homes, hold energetic imprints that intensify distress. When a coherent starseed enters such a space, they automatically begin reorganizing the subtle architecture. Without effort, your field identifies dissonant frequencies and begins smoothing them. You may feel the density initially, but once you anchor presence, the environment shifts. Others may feel lighter or clearer without understanding why. This is your field stabilizing the grid around them. The ripple effect does not require perfection from you. You do not need to remain calm at every moment. You do not need to embody flawless presence. Even moments of coherence can recalibrate environments. Every time you return to presence, the ripple effect begins anew. The Arcturians emphasize that consistency matters more than constancy. Your field doesn't need to be perfectly aligned, it needs to be aligned often enough to create anchors of stability in the collective field. This ripple effect also accelerates the awakening of others. Many individuals who are currently destabilized are not lacking spiritual capacity, they are lacking coherence. When they feel your field, it reminds them of what alignment feels like. It activates dormant codes within them. It triggers intuitive knowing. It awakens memory. It gives them a glimpse of the frequency they are moving toward. Your presence becomes the catalyst that helps them navigate their own unraveling without collapsing into fear. You do not awaken them through teaching, but through resonance. You become the living example of what it looks like to remain centered in a collapsing world. The Arcturians want you to understand this truth deeply. Your presence is not insignificant. Even if you doubt yourself, even if you feel overwhelmed, even if you question your path, your field is part of the stabilizing network preventing the collective from spiraling into chaos without direction. Your coherence is not just for you, it is a service to the entire planetary grid. As the collective breakdown accelerates, starseeds enter the activation stage of their higher purpose, a purpose encoded long before this incarnation, now awakening precisely because the world is dissolving into its next evolutionary phase. The collapse is not punishment, chaos, or failure. It is the clearing away of density that has prevented humanity from accessing higher intelligence. In the old structures, your gifts were dormant, suppressed, or misunderstood because the collective frequency did not support them. But now, as illusions disintegrate and outdated systems fail, the light within you begins to rise to the surface, triggered by necessity. You are not awakening because the world is calm, you are awakening because the world is demanding it. The Arcturians have long taught that starseeds incarnate not for eras of comfort, but for moments of transformation. Your higher purpose activates exactly when the old world becomes unsustainable, because your energy, perspective, and consciousness are designed for transitions, not stagnancy. During collective breakdown, most humans cling to the remnants of identity structures that are dissolving: careers, roles, beliefs, labels, personas. This clinging creates immense fear, panic, and disorientation. But for starseeds, this breakdown triggers a different response. Instead of clinging, your soul begins to expand. The inner guidance you may have ignored for years becomes louder. Your intuitive senses heighten. You begin receiving multidimensional impressions, inner knowings, energetic messages, and visions of what lies beyond the collapse. This is not imagination, it is the recalibration of your consciousness to a higher operational state. You were always meant to operate from this state, but the collective frequency until now has kept you dimmed. As the density grids fall away, your higher senses gain direct access to your waking awareness. You begin perceiving reality from a wider angle, understanding not just what is happening, but why. This is the ignition point of higher purpose. Higher purpose is not a job, a title, or an external mission. It is a frequency you embody that influences everything you touch. It is the clarity that emerges when illusion falls away. It is the strength that awakens when the world feels weakest. Higher purpose is the alignment of your inner truth with your external expression. Some starseeds will be called into visible roles: guides, creators, healers, leaders, communicators. Others will hold their purpose quietly, stabilizing families, workplaces, communities, and small pockets of the human grid. The Arcturians remind you that visibility does not determine importance. A single starseed anchoring coherence within a household can shift the timelines of generations. A single starseed holding presence in a chaotic environment can prevent psychic collapse. A single starseed embodying alignment during fear waves can stabilize hundreds who unconsciously attune to their field. Purpose is not measured by scale, it is measured by resonance. As the collective breakdown intensifies, many starseeds will feel an inner pull, an unmistakable call to step into a new version of themselves. Old habits, environments, relationships, and identities will feel too small, too heavy, too false. You may feel compelled to change direction suddenly, letting go of what once felt secure. This is not instability, it is alignment. When the world collapses, higher paths reveal themselves quickly, and starseeds are designed to shift with that acceleration. You will find yourself guided by intuition rather than logic, by knowing rather than planning, by synchronicity rather than force. Purpose emerges through resonance. When something aligns with your higher path, your entire field lights up. When something does not, your field contracts. This internal navigation system becomes much stronger during collective breakdown. Trusting it is part of your activation. Another aspect of your higher purpose is the transmission of truth, not verbal truth, but vibrational truth. During collapse, humanity becomes extremely susceptible to illusion and distortion. Fear clouds perception, and people lose their ability to discern what is real. When you anchor presence, your field transmits a frequency of clarity that cuts through distortion. People may not understand your perspective intellectually, but they feel the truth in your presence. They sense alignment. They sense authenticity. They sense coherence. This is why your higher purpose is not about convincing others. It is about embodying the frequency that reorients them to their own inner truth. You become a lighthouse, not by shining light at people, but by being a stable point in a fog-filled world. Your higher purpose also involves reweaving connection, between people, between dimensions, between the self and the earth, between humanity and its own potential. The collapse is breaking apart old forms of connection based on dependency, control, and illusion. Starseeds are here to help rebuild connection based on presence, alignment, and authenticity. When you remain coherent, you become a bridge between the physical and the multidimensional, the collapsing and the emerging, the human and the cosmic. This bridging is not an action, it is a state of being. The Arcturians emphasize that purpose does not fully activate until you claim it. The world does not need you to be perfect, it needs you to be present. It needs you to anchor your frequency, follow your inner guidance, and trust that your role is unfolding precisely as designed. The collective breakdown is not the end, it is the activation signal. You are here now because your higher purpose is rising to meet the world's transformation. In this culminating moment of planetary transformation, the final calling to all starseeds is clear: hold the presence, embody the frequency, and transmit the light with unwavering devotion. You incarnated into this timeline not by accident, but by soul contractual alignment with a global initiation unlike any humanity has faced before. The world is not simply changing, it is dissolving, recalibrating, and reorganizing itself into a higher harmonic. As fear intensifies, illusions collapse, identities fracture, and timelines fragment, your presence becomes the stabilizing technology through which the new architecture of consciousness anchors. You are not here to rescue anyone, nor to convince, nor to control the spiral of transformation. You are here to stand in the center of the storm with the clarity of one who remembers. You are here to embody the frequency of coherence so fully that your presence becomes a beacon through which others rediscover their own alignment. The Arcturians emphasize that when the outer world loses control, the inner world must become the source of guidance, and starseeds are the bridges between these worlds. Holding presence during global destabilization is not a posture of passivity. It is a radical act of conscious mastery. Presence is the force that prevents your mind from fragmenting with collapsing timelines. Presence keeps your emotional body from merging with the collective chaos. Presence preserves your sovereignty when fear narratives attempt to hijack human consciousness. Presence is the shield, the anchor, the compass, and the transmitter. When you choose presence, you are not avoiding the chaos, you are transcending the frequency in which the chaos has power. In presence, you stand at the point of stillness where higher intelligence flows unobstructed. You become a conduit through which stabilizing light enters the grid. The more the world destabilizes, the more essential your presence becomes. Every breath taken consciously, every moment grounded intentionally, every decision made from alignment rather than fear sends ripples through the collective field. To embody the frequency means to live as the expression of your soul's highest truth, even when the outer world contradicts it. It means aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the frequency you wish to anchor, not the frequency the collapsing world tries to impose. Embodiment is not an image, it is a frequency state in which your soul, nervous system, and physical body operate as one coherent field. The Arcturians say that when embodiment occurs, you become a living stabilization node, a pillar of light whose mere existence shifts the energetic structure of your environment. You no longer respond to the world from the wounded human identity, you respond from the integrated multidimensional self. This is the version of you that remembers why you came. This is the version of you that the unraveling is activating. To transmit the light does not mean to preach, to impose, or to direct others. It means radiating a frequency that naturally uplifts, clarifies, and reorganizes the energies around you. You transmit light through your presence, your intentions, your emotional coherence, and your ability to remain anchored when others collapse into fear. You transmit light by choosing clarity when confusion dominates the collective. You transmit light by living from neutrality while others get lost in polarization. You transmit light by being a mirror of what humanity is becoming, rather than a reflection of what humanity is releasing. Your light is not something you send out, it is something you simply allow to emanate. When you hold presence, your transmission becomes effortless and continuous. This final calling is a remembrance. You are not small, you are not powerless, and you are not here by accident. You are part of a coordinated intervention, an interdimensional effort woven through timelines to guide humanity through the collapse of outdated reality grids. The Arcturians, and many other higher dimensional collectives, do not intervene directly into the physical realm, they anchor through incarnated starseeds. You are the point of contact between realms. You are the stabilizing intelligence in human form. You are the bridge between the dissolving old world and the emerging new frequency. This responsibility is not a burden, it is the fulfillment of a mission encoded into your being long before you entered this lifetime. As the world continues to unravel, your greatest task is simple: stay anchored in presence. From presence comes clarity. From clarity comes coherence. From coherence comes embodiment. From embodiment comes transmission. And from transmission comes the stabilization that humanity desperately needs in this transition window. You are not here to avoid the collapse, you are here to illuminate the path through it. Your light is not symbolic, it is functional. It reorganizes. It recalibrates. It remembers. Hold the presence. Embody the frequency. Transmit the light. Humanity is transforming, and you are one of the anchors guiding that transformation. If this transmission resonates, declare your presence in the comments with, "I anchor the light. I hold the frequency. I choose presence." Subscribe to stay aligned with future transmissions, and share this message to strengthen the collective field.